Okay, that is right. Oh, there we go. Okay. I promise that has something to do with the lesson. It's you have to, even like a serial killer like smiles like that. Okay, you have to like. Okay. Anyway, so okay, I'm gonna start off with a question, all right? And I need you to respond to my question. Okay, we're gonna be interactive here. Okay, it's basic. Just basically, in general, in life, just what makes you happy? Anything at all. Food. Nice. Sleeping in. Friends. Your bed. Dogs. People. Sports. Snow. Yourself. Love it. Car. Okay. The what? God. What? The sky. The stars. Stuff. Anime. Books. Anything else? Laughing. Baseball. Movies. Cats. Animal Crossing. Anything else? That was a lot of interaction. I'm so proud. Okay. So for me, it's like mashed potatoes and friends. And sometimes your phone makes you happy, right? Just things make you happy on this earth. So today I'm going to talk about the difference between happiness that you find in these things and the joy that you feel inside, right? Before I talk about that, I'm going to talk about my brother Matthew. There he is. Okay, that's Matthew. A lot of you know Matthew. He's about a yay tall and has like a yay big personality, right? He's loved by everyone. He gets whatever he wants. He's such like this little ball of like joy. He's just all over the place, right? You might see him on the stage after service, like even like in a doctor's office. Like when I'm getting dentist cleaning, done, the doctor gives him the little sucky thing, and he puts it in my mouth. He's choked Daniel before. And it's just like, no other kid gets to do that. But because like of his joyful little bubbly personality, they let him do things other kids don't get the privilege of doing. And it's Matthew. Like he's just outgoing and stuff, right? So that is who you see at church. This is who you see like on the playground with friends, in the doctor's office, right? But what you don't see is what happens on the inside of our walls, right? He turns into like baby Hulk. He's so, like, he can throw a fit, he can throw a tantrum. He is physically strong, whether that's, like, throwing Daniel, my dad, or I on the ground. Like, he does planks better than, like, planks that I see, like, football dudes do. But he's strong physically and strong mentally. He will scream at you, he will throw a fit. But he doesn't show this often. It stays between our walls, but sometimes he just has to, like, let go. And it's just, we all know that feeling. Anyway, so that's him, right? Now, these are his two different personalities, inside the house, outside the house. Totally different, okay? The babies, they're laughing, right? This is like when parents are like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I had children, right? But then you don't see the other part where they're screaming because they need whatever, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna pull my hair out. So you have these two different personalities within them. And then another example I was gonna give is like, we all know that mom, right? She's yelling at you, go clean your room, whatever, and she gets a call from the doctor, and she's like, hello, yes, this is she. Like, she turns into this different person, right? Yes. Yeah. Okay, everybody, yeah. Okay. It's a quick personality change, right? Everything has this. So think of yours. Because I know you don't act the same way that you do with church friends and school friends, right? That's a different thing. And I know you don't act the same way that you do school friends and your parents. difference. You don't act the same way. You have multiple different personalities out here, right? But what I want you to think about is your personality out here and your personality in here. They don't always match up. And all of you know what I'm talking about. When you can be smiling, happy out here, and it's in here, and it's like, just leave me alone. Stop talking, I'm done with you. It's different, and it changes, and we all know it, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about the difference here, and the happiness and the joy, right? But before, I'm going to ask questions, and I just want you to think of the feelings, right? So we all know that feeling of you have your family dynamic, right? Or maybe someone in your family has to go off on a work trip, or in a friend group, somebody gets quarantined or they move, right? The whole dynamic of the group is off. You have to change how you're doing things. When my sister went away to college, we had to change the dynamic of the family. And it's just that missing piece is somewhere else, and you have to completely change what's going on, right? That's physical and earthly. But think about your inside, okay? We all know, okay, hold on, okay. Have you ever felt like a piece of you is missing? So inside, something's missing and you don't know what, it's not there, it's not you, right? Have you ever felt like maybe you were falling in a hole and all this stuff is getting piled on top of you and something's wrong? You don't know what's wrong, but you can't get out of the hole. You can't save yourself. You can't fix it. It's not working and something's missing. Or have you ever felt like you're here, you're surrounded by your mashed potatoes and your friends and your puppies and your books and all this stuff, right? But you're not here. Your mind is somewhere else and you don't know where it is and something's missing and you can't find it and all you want to do is go find it. You can't get there. It's missing. Okay? My phone keeps turning off. Okay, and then the other feeling that's described is you just don't feel anything inside. There's something missing in there where you just shut off all feelings on the inside. Now here's no, right? We've all done that. It's all happened. Okay. Now we're gonna change gears. So remember this feeling of missing something, of something's not being there. Remember that feeling, because we're gonna talk about that feeling. But we're gonna go over here for a minute, and I'm gonna tell you the definition of joy and happiness, okay? So the definition of joy is the feeling of happiness and great pleasure, right? But the definition of happiness is the showing of pleasure and contentment. There was one word difference, feeling and showing. Joy is feeling, happiness is showing. Joy is a person, joy is God. Joy comes from the Lord, joy is Lord. It is a feeling that you feel inside. When you accept the Lord, He comes inside of you and you have this joy. You have this joy automatically. But then happiness is you show it. I'm going to eat my mashed potatoes, right? But once they're gone, that happiness between me and the mashed potatoes is gone. It's not there anymore, right? It's temporary. It's temporary. But the joy of the Lord, once you ask it to be in your heart, it's always there, because He's always there. It just depends on how you abide in it and how you feel it and exercise it, because it can die down, you can stop listening to it, and you can stop feeling it. But it's always going to be there if you have the joy of the Lord inside of you, because it is a person. Okay? So, joy is constant. It's always there, never changing, right? And happiness is temporary. Once all my mashed potatoes are gone, they're not coming back and I'm not happy for the rest of the day, right? Okay. Now, circumstances can make you feel sad, angry, and disappointed, but that doesn't mean joy is impossible. So James 1:2 says that the trials are opportunity for great joy. Okay, so think of it like training for a marathon. You're running that mile. All my runners know that when you hit that mile, you're tired. It gets hard. No matter how much you've trained, it always gets hard at that mile if you're running forward then. But you know that you have to make it to the finish line. So you have to keep pushing. You have to keep going. You have to make it there to the finish line. And yeah, it's going to be hard, but the more you go, the more you grow. So the more you keep abiding in Christ, the more you keep exercising this and praying and talking to Him and going to church for church, that's when you start to feel the joy. That's when you start to bear the fruit of joy and peace and patience and all this stuff, right? That's when you feel what's going on. That's when you are joyful. You can't get there on your own. If you stop at that mile, you're not going to grow. It's not going to keep going. It's going to stop. So it's a process of faith. He doesn't expect you to be like, when you lose that job or something bad happens in your life, to be like, oh, it's fine, I'm happy. He doesn't expect that transaction there. What he expects is you to just say yes to the process. Say yes to abiding in him, saying yes to going and praying and turning to the Bible for information. It's okay if you're sad here. That is fine. It's okay to not be okay. But you have to say yes to the process. You have to keep going with Christ and following with him, or it's not going to get better. It's not going to change. There was a time in my life where it just slowly, I fell off the scale of abiding. I came to church for friends. I didn't pray as much. I fell off the devotional because I thought I was fine, right? I'm fine, everything's fine. But I shut off everything inside me because I just didn't want to feel the reality of everything going on. Okay? So then, I get quarantined and all this stuff happens, and I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I'm fine. But I wasn't fine because I started filling this emptiness inside of me with mashed potatoes. I thought I was always hungry. With friends. I was like, oh, once I get out of quarantine, I could go see my friends because I was in quarantine during Thanksgiving and my birthday. And I was like, you know what? That's my problem. I need to go see friends. So I got out of quarantine, I went to see friends. It didn't fix anything. I ate all the mashed potatoes I needed. It didn't fix anything. So these are the things I turn to. But think of somebody who's not in a Christian home. What would they turn to? What would they try to fix? Maybe like drugs and alcohol. They turn to these things. But they're not going to fix it. And those who aren't grown up in the church and don't know this, they're not going to know. They're going to be like, oh, I need more. I need more. It's not helping. I need more. It's not going to fix it. Friends and mashed potatoes ain't going to fix it. The only thing that's going to fix it, and the only thing that's going to fill you up, is the joy of the Lord. And the only way you're going to feel that again is A, accepting Christ, if you haven't already, or B, abiding in him, so you can bear this fruit. Acts 16:25 says, about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. The other prisoners were listening to them. Okay. We all know the story of Paul and Silas, right? They got thrown in prison for talking about Jesus to people on the streets, right? Now they're in here, and they don't have friends or mashed potatoes or drugs or alcohol. They don't have any of this. Yet they're still singing hymns. They are still praising the Lord. They still have the joy. They might not be necessarily happy with the situation, but they still have this joy inside of them that is going to allow them to keep singing and to keep praising. It's going to still come out. And can you imagine what the other people in the cells were thinking? They're like, dude, are you on something? Like, what's wrong with you? Because this is not how you should be acting when you're in a prison. It's just not. People find us crazy. But they didn't find it crazy because they had the joy of the Lord, and they kept abiding in him. Even when things went wrong, they trusted. Therefore, they have the joy that can help them sing and praise. And we all know how that story ends. They were greatly blessed. Okay? This is proof that the joy of the Lord is all you need to feel joyful. You might not necessarily be happy with the situation, but you'll be joyful. Okay? Okay. Now, I've told you what joy is, right? It's constant, it's the Lord, it comes from the Lord, it is the Lord, right? And I've told you what happiness is and how it's temporary. Things on this earth can make you happy, but it's not from the Lord. It's not a feeling, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to explain really fast. The joy of the Lord comes from the Lord, right? But it also comes from things the Lord gives us. So God-given friends, God-given families, God-given people, God-given things, they can also make you joyful because they're God-given. So if you have a God-given friend, you know them, they give you this different kind of joy that you don't get from other friends. It's because it's God-given. You know that God-given family, maybe they don't necessarily make you happy all the time, but they give you that sense of joy and security. And I don't know your case at home, but I know God gave you that family for a reason. Okay? Now, if you don't believe the Bible and it says, like, the joy of the Lord is your strength and all this stuff, right? Let me give you more proof. Okay? So when they saw the star, they rejoiced with great joy. Now, this is a verse in Matthew about when Jesus was born and the star shone. Everybody knows that, and the wise men followed, right? When the wise men saw the star, they had this joy that you can't get anywhere else. they like exploded. It's like in that cartoon, you know, and you get like a super power up, and it's like, it's happening, you know? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so it's like they saw the star, and they had this joy that made them run and go find the king, right? Now the star didn't give them joy. It was what the star meant. It's what it was rooted in. It was rooted in Jesus. Therefore, Jesus is joy. Jesus came into this earth. The star shone. The wise men knew. Therefore, they had this joy, and they rejoiced. So this is proof that Jesus is joy. The Lord is joy. And things rooted in him give them joy. Right? God gives us joyful things. And if it's not rooted in him, it won't give you the same kind of joy. Okay? God-given spouses, God-given friends. Y'all know the gist. Okay? So, joy truly comes from the Lord himself. Joy of the Lord gives you strength. It truly comes from the Lord himself. Okay? Now I'm going to finish out with a question and a verse, right? Okay. So, are you truly finding joy in what you have and how you live? Do you go to school every day thinking, I just want to go home and sit on my bed and be a lump on a log for the rest of the day? Or do you look forward to this church where you have your God-given friends that give you joy, and the things in your life are giving you joy and peace and patience and all this fruit of the Spirit, because you can't have it unless you abide in him. And if you're not abiding in him, you don't know what I'm talking about. You don't know this kind of joy. This is a kind of joy that's different. Right? So are you truly finding joy in what you have and how you live? And if you're not, then this is a conversation that happens between you and God. That is the only way it can be fixed. You can talk to a leader and they can help you get on this path, but when you pray and you're like, God, help me to abide in you, give me back this joy, fill me up, help me to feel you, and help me to do better, then you will feel it. You will know it will happen for you, right? Okay, last verse. Do not conform to the pattern of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's plan is for you. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world. The patterns of the world right now, guys, are sadness and anger and disappointment. People are choosing to be sad and angry and disappointed because they don't know what else to do. They're just confused, so they're being sad and they're being angry, and this is the patterns of the world. It's so easy to fall into that because nobody else around you is happy. So then you fall into that. The verse says, do not conform to the patterns of the world. Do not follow them. But be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The renewing of your mind. Praying to God. Asking for his forgiveness. Choosing to abide. Readjusting your outlook on life so that it is pointed to God's plan. This is the renewing of your mind. So do not conform to the patterns of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's plan is for you. Only after you renew your mind, only after you choose to abide and choose to go to church for church and choose to pray and choose to do that Bible study and choose to worship for real, then you will be able to see God's plan for you. Only then will you be able to know good from evil, God from devil. Only then will you be able to understand his plan. You might not understand it fully, but at least you'll have more trusting heart and mind. So, do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's plan is for you. Romans 12:2. The end.